Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be filming a 3 demo look on the Juvias Place Nubian eyeshadow palette. I have done a dedicated review on this guy a couple years back. If you want to refer to it, I'll leave a card for it somewhere here, because in today's video, I'm not going to be really reviewing this palette because I have done so in the past. This video is more just for inspiration. I will show you guys 3 looks with this one palette and show you the variety of looks that you can create with this like warm neutral tone eyeshadow palette. Because when I initially filmed that review years ago, I didn't start doing my 3 demo 1 look series on my channel yet. So I wanted to revisit this palette when I filmed my top 10 eyeshadow palette video. A lot of you guys wanted to see 3 looks on this eyeshadow palette, so I wanted to revisit this palette, show it some love, because it truly is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes, period. It's one of my favorite formulas ever. I think their formula of eyeshadows is probably the easiest eyeshadows to blend out. Like, it is so effortless, you don't even need to try. I've actually hit pan on this shadow here, which is crazy. I don't hit pans usually on eyeshadow palettes just because I have so many of them and I'm always rotating them, so you know that a palette is good if I hit pan on it, and I've been using it for a really long time. Overall, just this palette is amazing. So without further ado, if you guys are interested in seeing the 3 looks that I created with the Nubian palette, then just continue watching. To get started with the first look, I'm going to be taking the second shade on the first row, and this is going to be our transition shade. I'm going to put that straight into my crease using windshield wiping motions and blending that towards my brow bone. The shade is like a beautiful warm orange transition shade, and I like how this palette has 2 kinds of transition shades that you could use, and the transition shade will always lead what kind of a look that you're going for. So if I use this one, the look is going to turn out a little bit more warmer, and if I use the other transition shade, which you guys will see in the other demos, it will probably lead towards a little bit more neutral. Next, I'm going to be taking the second shade on the bottom row, and we're going to start placing this on our outer corner. I'm first just tapping on all of the product, and then once all the pigment is there, I'm going to start blending it out a little bit towards my transition shade and a little bit into the inner part of my crease, not too much, mainly just deepening up that outer corner. And I love this shade. What I love about this shade is that it actually looks brown on my lids. There are a lot of browns in palettes that look like a warm brown, but once you apply it to the eyes, they tend to pull a lot more cool tone or a little bit more neutral on my eyes. But I like how this one actually is just a true chocolate medium brown. And now I'm taking the last shade on the bottom row, and we're going to be doing exactly the same thing but focusing it a little bit lower and in a smaller section. We really just want to make that outer corner very dark. This is a technique that I always do, and you guys see me do multiple times. So now I'm taking the last shadow on the second row on my Sigma E55 brush, and I am using this shadow wet just to prevent any fallout since I already did my base. But we're going to pack this on right in the inner corner of our eye. So you can see that I'm packing it on, that way there won't be as much fallout. If you were to swipe it on, you probably will get a little bit of fallout. So with this eye look, honestly, you could use any of the shimmer shadows in here. It's really up to you. This eye look is very universal and very flexible, but this shadow here is my favorite shimmer in this whole palette. It's just something about it, it's just so rustic and it's so warm. It's just a really, really beautiful shimmer shadow. Obviously, I would use my favorite in the palette. So around the edges, I'm just going to pat around it. I don't want it to be like a cut crease or anything. I just want it to be very soft and diffused. Going back into that medium brown shade on the bottom row, and I'm going to run this on my lower lash line. I'm going to first focus it on the outer corner, connecting it with the shadow on top, and then I'll slowly bring it towards the inner part. And taking the darkest shade in the palette on the bottom row, I'm just going to define the lower lash line just at the outer corner, just to connect it with the top and make the outer part very smoky. Quickly just taking my Artisty in Mode Stir eyeliner in the shade Coffee. I'm going to use this to tightline my bottom waterline, but only on the outer edge where we put the darkest shadow on. So this is the first look completed for the lashes. I am wearing the Boudoir lights from House of Lashes, and for my lip pairing I decided to go with Velvet Liquid Lipstick from Dose of Colors in the shade My Main, and that pretty much completes this look. Now getting started with the last look, we're going to start off with the second shade on the first row, and this is going to be our transition shadow. I'm just going to place that straight into my crease using windshield wiping motions, and I'm going to blend it up towards my brow bone, bringing it quite high because we do want this to peep through under the cut crease. Now using the second shade on the last row, I'm going to start placing that at the outer corner of my eye, and then I'm slowly going to bring that in towards my inner crease, making sure we're getting this right to that inner part, just because we want a darker shadow to contrast against the half cut crease. And then taking the last shade on the last row, once again I'm going to place that at the outer corner of my eye, and then I'll slowly bring that towards the inner crease. I'm going to use a smaller brush and work in a smaller section. And now I'm just taking some concealer on the back of my hand, and I'm going to start cutting out my crease. I'm going to place the concealer right at the inner corner of my lid space, and then I'm going to bring it towards my crease area. I'm going to take a thinner brush just to really define the cut crease area and make it super sharp, following along the natural curve of my eye shape. And now I'm just taking the first shadow on the second row. I'm using this shadow wet. I'm going to place that right at the center of my lid space where the concealer is fading out into the matte shadows, and that's where we will be placing this shadow. And then I'll be going in with the last shadow on the first row, also using this shadow wet as well. We're going to pop that right into the inner parts of our eyes. I'm then taking the second shade on the last row once again, and I'm just going to run this all over my lower lash line from the outer corner right to the inner corner. And then taking my Artisty in Mode Stir eyeliner in the shade Coffee, I'm going to use this to tightline my bottom waterline. Alright guys, so this is the final look completed for my lashes. I am wearing the iconic lights from House of Lashes, and for my final lip pairing I decided to go with the Colourpop Luxe lipstick in the shade Spring Roll. I hope you guys enjoyed this half cut crease. We're going to go in with the third shade on the first row, and we are going to place this all over our lid. This is going to be our transition shadow, but we're working it a little bit differently. We're not going to put this straight into the crease. We're actually going to apply this all over our lid space first, keeping it quite low. We want the most product closer to the lash line, and then you want to slowly blend it towards the crease. I'm also going to bring that same shade onto my lower lash line. We're just going to lightly dust this right from the outer corner to the inner corner, connecting the shadows right at the outer edge. Now going into the second shade on the last row, I'm taking a teeny tiny brush. I'm going to wash this against my lash. Again, you want the most pigment against your lash line. Where you first place down your brush, that is where the most pigment is going to go. And then once you put that down, you want to blend it up a little bit higher. And I'm also going to take that same shadow and I'm going to push this up against my lower lash line, but I'm only going to focus this at the outer third and I'm going to connect it at the outer corner as well. Alright, so now we're going to be taking the last shade on the last row, which is the darkest. We're going to pretty much be using this exactly how we use the previous shade, but we're going to switching our brush to an angled brush and it's a lot more firmer, so it's going to come off more pigmented and it's not going to be as diffused, but we kind of want this for the lash line just so we can create some definition, because I feel like right now there's no definition to the eye. Alright, so now I'm going to go into the second shade on the second row and I'm just going to be using my ring finger. I'm going to place this all over my lid pretty much. I just want a sheer glimmer to the eyes and I feel like this metallic is so beautiful to do so. Alright guys, so this is the second look completed. For my lip color, I am wearing the Velvet Blur Luxe lipstick from Colourpop in the shade Superbloom. You guys always want me to do looks that don't have false lashes, so here you go. Alright guys, so that completes today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found some inspiration from the 3 looks. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, let me know your favorite look out of the 3 in the comments down below. And also let me know which Juvia's Place palette you want me to review next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!